All right, folks, welcome to Plum Bums Podcast, the blue-collar talk show where we kind of attack running a small local business, navigating entrepreneurship in these trying times. What's your opinion? How have we been doing with that lately, in general?
Navigating business. We've been expanding on the types of jobs that we've taken, you know?
It's been really hot, though.
It's gross.
So
it's nap time at 12 o'clock.
So my expansion spirit is a little low lately.
I have noticed that.
But we got...
we have a nice Greek man with us today.
We do have a guest on today. So we have, on the show today, we have our cleanup guy who remediates mold, water damage, everything. We got Otto from Jigsaw PMR. PMR stands for Property Maintenance Restoration. Otto, you're out of Oradell, New Jersey.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
How long you been in Oradell?
Living in Oradell for 12 years now, and
That's it?
12 years.
I thought it was longer than that.
No, 12 years. We were in Teaneck before, and we moved to Oradell in 2011.
Well, how old's the business? We'll get into how it started,
right.
but how old? Yeah.
This specific business, I started it 7 years ago. I had a partner prior to another. We had another business. And,
Same field?
No, it was actually in the foreclosure field. It was in the maintenance side, but it was just crazy in the foreclosures. So I started this business.
Well, you do residential, commercial, industrial. I know you're doing a big commercial job, which we'll get into right now, that you got slaughtered with. A couple of them.
2 of them.
Yeah. But you're on social media, right? I see you on Instagram.
Yeah, we're on Instagram.
Facebook?
Facebook, but it just connects from Instagram.
Okay. TikTok?
No.
No TikTok account?
No TikTok, no.
All right, we wanted to welcome to you the show officially by giving you a... Otto's our Greek cleanup guy. So we were driving around the truck today.
Listening
and
to
just
clips.
listening, we're like, okay, I suggested the Big Fat Greek Wedding theme song.
Okay.
But this one had more spunk to it, so I was like, let's use this.
So everything that you've seen at My Big Fat Greek Wedding, it's actually true.
Yeah. That's what it is growing up with immigrant parents. That's exactly what it is. It's not just Greek, yeah.
Listen, I love that movie.
And I tried the Windex. It works.
The Windex on ailments from a stub toe to...
Me and him are going back and forth on the truck on jokes that we can tell, and we're like... And at one point, I'm like, we're making too many Greek jokes. He's going to hate us by the end of this. He's not going to find it funny anymore.
No, you know what it is? Growing up, I was always in the United States. I was the Greek. And when I used to go back to Greece on vacation, I was the American.
The American.
Right. So I really don't know.
You were born there, right?
No, I was born.
Oh, you were
I was
born.
born here.
Oh.
Well, listen, my first question for you is, on this show, will you denounce Yanni? Officially.
Yanni?
Yeah.
The composer? Yeah, I don't like that guy.
You don't like that guy?
No.
He's got a great head of hair, though.
Yeah. Well, I don't.
So I'm just busting. Anyway, listen, you've been one of, I'll tell you, Jigsaw has been one of our most faithful, reliable contractors that we use. You're always there. You always show up.
Thank you.
Always. And it's funny how we got hooked up. I was outside cleaning the truck one day a couple of years ago, and you pull up. You're like, hey, let me give you some business cards.
Yeah.
And I think two days later, I needed a cleanup guy.
Right.
And that was it.
And then you had the other girl that was working in the office, Nancy's daughter.
My cousin, yeah.
Yeah.
My cousin was answering phones.
That's how short of a time that he's been around with us?
Yeah.
Nicole answered phones for us a long time ago. It's
been
been
3
3 years.
That's not a long time ago, though.
Well, in this fast-paced business
I feel like
of plumbing.
Otto's been around for a lot longer than that. Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, that's crazy how that happened.
Yeah.
But listen, like I said, you've been super, super reliable, and we've given you some big ones.
Yep.
We've given you some nasty ones.
Yeah.
But you've been in business. You've been in business. Yeah, no problem. Anytime. You've been in business for 7 years with Jigsaw. How did you get involved in this whole industry?
So in 2012, after Hurricane Sandy, I started seeing what a lot of other restoration companies were doing and how they were taking advantage of people.
Okay.
So a lot of these companies, which I don't like talking about other companies, they use a fear tactic
To the
to
customer?
the customer. They try to scare people. They use a scare tactic. I don't like when people try to scare you.
Mm.
I mean, just look at just imagine your industry when you go. Somebody goes in there and like, oh, you need to change this boiler. It's gonna blow up.
Yeah.
You know.
No, we did. That's
hear
a
that,
that's a
yeah.
bother. That's a bother to me too. What do I tell people all the time when we go look at everything? I say, listen, we're going to look at everything in your house. We find a sewer line that doesn't look great, but it's not a disaster. I tell them, listen, this isn't an emergency. I just want to bring it to your attention.
Something to keep
That's
an
it.
eye on.
I'm not gonna, there's no point in lying to the customer.
No.
It's always going to catch up to you.
Always. And I since 2012 when I started seeing, so in 2012 I only did mold remediation, and in the previous company that I had a partner, and there were a lot of things that were being done that were very sketchy. I don't like doing sketchy stuff.
Yeah.
I really don't.
You got
So-
that Greek guilt.
Besides the Greek guilt, I mean,
We're gonna keep bringing it up. You're
no.
not gonna like it.
That's all I
Yeah.
got. I got
So I believe in karma. So if what you do comes back to you.
You reap what you sow.
Correct. So I believe in karma. So if you're going to do something, do the right thing.
Yeah.
And be able to sleep at night knowing that you did the right thing.
And in your industry, even in my industry, it's very easy to just manipulate the whole situation. When someone calls you, I mean, we got called for a toilet valve one time that wasn't. It was just overflowing into the tank, and the toilet was slowly running. And she calls us in a panic. We could have completely manipulated it. You got to change the toilet. You got to do this. We could have walked in there and completely demolished the person, because people don't know when they have water coming through the ceiling. You could tell them that they have to rebuild their house. They'll be like, whatever has to be done. I have young kids.
They
I don't
trust
want
the
to,
experts.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
So, and it's easy in this area for company. There's just so much. There's so many companies. It's easy for them to just go in and completely
Especially
take advantage.
in your business, because you can technically jack up the price because you deal with insurance. It's not something that comes out of the customer's pocket necessarily most of the time.
So that's a good point. People try to do that, but we're held accountable to the insurance company also.
Yeah.
Just because it's insurance is paying doesn't mean that I can go in and say, well, this is going to cost $1 million.
Well, that's what those shady companies do, right?
Well, so we're doing a fire loss right now in Wayne. It's an 80,000 square foot building.
That's big.
Lightning
For people who don't know, that's big.
So 80,000 square feet is roughly half of the Bergen Mall.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we get called in. Lightning struck transformer. It was smoldering. Long story short, we took care of the customer. We met with the adjuster yesterday, and the adjuster goes, "Well, don't send me a bill that you're going to have 100 people working here to raise up your bill."
Even in an 80,000 square foot building?
We got it done with 12 people.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, 100, obviously, of course. I don't blame him for saying that.
Right. So that's what people do. They think, oh, it's insurance. But
Yeah.
if we start doing that to insurance, then let's not complain when our premiums
Exactly.
go up.
Yeah.
Well, it's New Jersey. Let's take car insurance, for example, in this state. There's so many scammers, and there's so many scammers per capita, and illegal drivers who are kind of piggybacking off the insurance.
Happens all the time to my dad.
They have. That's why car insurance in this area is so expensive.
Correct.
And the more people that are scummy in any industry, it's going to destroy everything else for the people who are doing everything right.
Correct.
How did this big building find you? This 80,000 square. How did they find you?
I got lucky. Really, really lucky. So I heard the fire over the scanner, the fire scanner.
You have
Really?
a scanner
Yeah.
in your truck?
I was home, and I was running late for another meeting, and I just said, I'm
I'm running over there. Real quick.
no. I actually went like 4 or 5 hours later,
Oh, wow.
and I get there, And I pull up, and an electrician's there. It's like, come in. Oh. I follow the electrician in. So as I'm walking in, and they're taking me to the electricians, there's a guy with his back turned to me, and he turns around, and he was the town electrical engineer. Turns around, and it's like he's a buddy of mine.
Uh-huh.
Really?
Yeah, I'm like, he's like, what are
yeah,
you doing
that's
here?
lucky.
He's like, what are you doing here?
Yep.
I'm like, well, are you here to clean up? I said, no, I'm just trying to see if I can get the
Heard you on
job.
the
Yeah.
scanner.
He goes to me, oh, okay, come with me. And he introduced me to the owner and said, this is the guy that you're going to use.
Wow.
And,
Good for you.
That's perfect.
3 hours later, I had equipment coming in and things like that.
3 hours later from that meeting, you had equipment coming in. You started. So I was asking you this before.
62 air scrubbers.
Wow.
Wow.
So I was asking you this before. We were talking about because we usually use it for water damage, but that was fire damage.
So fire damage has three components to it. The actual fire where the material was ruined and charred, the smoke smell,
Mm-hmm.
and then the soot.
Mm.
So to get rid of the smell, you have to remove all three. You can't remove just one or
Right.
two of them.
Yeah.
All three have to be done. So fire jobs are always more expensive because it's actually, you take, like, imagine your kitchen sponge, maybe about an inch bigger, and the walls, you wipe it with a sponge.
What?
Yeah, it's called a chemical sponge. So that sponge removes the soot off the wall. So imagine
Wow.
now your office here.
Why don't you just take down the walls and replace
They
them?
won't pay for it.
Are you serious?
Right. Because if there's no physical fire damage to it and it's only smoke and
Oh.
soot, you can clean it.
All the insurance companies have those little rules that just they don't make sense.
Yeah, but that's the way insurance
That-
is.
that is
In
what-
my head, it's more work to clean that up than to knock it off.
No, actually,
start
it's
from-
it's easier to clean it.
Oh, it
Yeah?
is.
And I'll tell you why. So you said knock it down. You have to do demo.
Right.
Throw away the garbage.
Oh, yeah.
Clean.
Yeah.
Then you need to bring in a sheetrocker.
Mm-hmm.
Then you need to bring in a painter. Then you need to bring in a carpenter.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, it's just cheap. It might be a little bit more expensive, but in the long run, it's cheaper.
Yeah. Let me ask you something about a residential.
Okay.
Residential, someone has a flood or something coming for the ceiling. What is the most important thing the customer needs to know about their insurance company as far as when they have damage that happens to their house? And this may be a tricky question to answer. We can come back to it if you want.
No, I'm actually glad that you brought that up. A lot of people in our area are underinsured. And the reason being they're underinsured, they just call their insurance agent and they said, give me a policy,
Right.
and I don't want it to be expensive.
Yeah.
So when your policy is inexpensive, you don't have all the riders. You don't have all the coverages.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, which job did we do that there was sewage?
Oh, I mean, how
Yeah,
many?
yeah, okay.
What, the most
Just-
recent one?
Let's just pick one.
Okay.
If you have a sewer line that breaks
Yeah.
and you have live feces on the floor,
As opposed to dead feces. Got it.
it's so contaminated that anything it touches needs to be thrown away.
Yeah.
So when somebody has an inexpensive insurance policy, the insurance company is only going to pay $5,000-$6,000. You could have $100,000 worth in damage. You're only getting that $5,000 minus your deductible.
Oh, wow.
Did you ever have a case?
Yes.
Like you had a case
Yes.
where somebody was out of pocket. What's the worst out of pocket case you saw? Where somebody had such bad insurance that it didn't cover the majority of it. Like you had $100,000 job and they only covered $5,000.
So 2 years ago on Soldier Hill, a friend of mine, her sump pumps failed. She has two sump pumps. She had 7 inches of water in her basement. Basement was about 1,000 square feet. I go to her, are you covered? Oh, I have the best insurance. I go, okay. Do you want us to proceed? Oh, yeah, I can't live like this. I have kids. All right. So we start doing our thing. My bill came out to $9,500, and then her build back bill was another $20. We ripped out carpets, we ripped out doors, we ripped out sheetrock, we ripped out insulation. So everything had to put back. So her total damage was 30. Let's say 30,000.
Mm-hmm.
She was only covered for 5 because she didn't check her rider.
So she's on the hook for 25 grand.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then when she pulled out her insurance packet, it's literally the name of the company is Best Insurance. She's like, I told you I had best insurance.
Yeah, that's the one thing that
No,
that,
Mrs. Mendelsohn, that's not what I meant.
a lot of people get underinsured, and the things that they don't realize is like a sump pump failure. Most I'm not going to say names of insurance companies,
Yeah.
but they'll cover up to 10,000. I'm not for all intents and purposes. I am not an insurance agent.
You know what? And I'm glad. Let me tell you one thing that shocked me when I got into plumbing: the percentage of people that are legitimate hoarders. Are you with me on that one?
Awful.
How many people actually are hoarders?
Awful.
It was just I couldn't believe it. Like when you go into people's houses, now we're accustomed to it. Like
Nope.
Well,
No, not.
the really bad ones, still not.
It's still awful.
But let's say a disaster happens in a hoarder's home, where every square inch of that, because we've had that over in Paramus. It was one of my first jobs. Worst hoarding. I haven't even seen anything on TV like this guy. And he had water coming down from the 3rd floor all the way to the basement. What is the deal with insurance companies versus hoarders?
we want to know if you cover their garbage. If they cover their garbage.
It's a very tricky situation, and the insurance company will cover for the garbage to be thrown away.
Oh.
They'll
I didn't know that.
They'll cover for the if it's a legitimate. So if the water's coming from on top, you're usually covered.
Yeah.
So an instantaneous break, like freeze damage water lines,
Mm-hmm.
that's an instantaneous break. Anything that creates, the insurance company will cover. You just have to prove it was instantaneous and that you did everything in your power to avoid it.
Right.
Like in the wintertime, like the freeze that we had, was the heat on?
Right.
Well, how can you prove if the heat is on? The insurance company will ask you for your utility bill.
Ah, wow.
That's why they make the monies.
Yeah. That's
Okay.
why. Well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, and then they'll cover everything,
Okay.
pretty much. Sometimes.
How long are people usually waiting for a payout? What's the average?
So on larger jobs, like we did a job in Oradell in February. We finished it mid-February.
Yeah.
Me as a contractor, I have not been paid yet from the insurance company.
Wow. 6 months, huh?
Yeah. So a lot of people think, "Oh, you're making so much money." Yeah, but I can
gotta
wait up to, I can wait up to 40, 50, 60, like in this case, 180 days. Then the insurance company takes your bill and says, "Oh, we're not going to pay this.
Yep.
We're not going to pay this. We're not paying for this."
Yeah.
Then why am I doing the job?
Yeah.
Well, we don't, we're not paying.
So you gotta wait. I mean, you're holding a lot of overhead.
Tremendous amounts.
Yeah. Yeah. That's different than our industry for sure.
Right.
If we were doing commercial, we'd probably be on the same page. But residential, we get in and out and paid, which is good for us, obviously.
But even with residential, we have to wait sometimes, up to 60 days.
Well, I'm never going through an insurance company for anything.
No, you don't have to.
Yeah.
But we do.
Yeah. What's the 7 years?
Mm-hmm.
What is the worst job you've ever walked into?
The worst job.
Just you walked into, and you're like, holy cow.
Walked into it and you're like, I'm not doing this.
Or you did it. I mean, like the worst disaster, because I'll tell you mine.
So my worst in all my years of doing all my years in construction and in recovery services, right before COVID, we were called in by a property management company in Englewood.
Mm-hmm.
It was a single bedroom apartment, 730 square feet.
Okay.
We took out 730-yard dumpsters of garbage.
Wow.
What?
The trash was 7 feet high.
Oh my gosh. How many guys did you have with you at that time?
We brought in, I had 6 people,
Yeah.
including me, and we were hustling for 5 days carrying the garbage out.
Yeah. That's
And then once we were able to get headway, we were in full Tyvek suits,
it was a hoarder house.
right? Respirators, the whole 9 yards. So as we were cleaning and finishing up, the roaches, they were about maybe, I don't know,
my
2 inches.
Nope.
And
All over the place.
besides all over the place, the roaches, as we were working, they were crawling on our suits.
No.
So I'm okay with that. But the guy that I was working with was not. So at one point, he had like about 15 of them on him. He couldn't realize what was on him. So I just wanted to see his reaction. So I'm like, hey, Alex, why don't you just shake yourself off? And he looks down and he saw the roaches on him. I have never, ever
He
seen.
freaked out.
He just disappeared. Never mind freaked out. He was like out the
It
door.
was like Looney Tunes, Wile E. Coyote.
exactly.
Well, it's like when I started
Like
working.
Roger Rabbit with his
Yeah.
body shape in the window.
I started working with him, and I was like, well, he would send me into the crawl spaces, and I.
Well,
Still.
you're small.
Well, yeah, I'm just yeah. I mean, I still go into the crawl spaces, but when he was
I mean,
when
that's
I
what
was
you gotta do.
first starting, I was like, listen, I don't do spiders. I don't like spiders.
Well, at first you were like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Even
saying.
the-
In the beginning, the
even the
wolf
little
spiders.
ones.
Yeah, even the.
Now, I mean, I hate spiders, especially
But I just
before I
brush 'em
started. I'm okay with a spider up to the size of a dime or a nickel.
This is not 3 men talking. by
A
the
nickel
way.
is pushing it. A spider with a body that's bigger than a nickel or the size of a nickel or up.
Like those videos of them in Australia,
Oh,
where they look
absolutely
like they can eat one of our dogs.
Yeah, those I'm not good with those either. What really freaks me out is snakes.
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 We don't
Oh,
have
yeah.
too many of those over
No.
here, though. So
So snakes freak me out, and then a lot of times we'll go into rats and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We see them all the time.
I mean, we're basement dwellers too in our industry. The worst job I was ever on, we had a guy up in Englewood, beautiful house, but they've been there for a long time, but they maintain the house very well. They've been there for 40 years. And maybe 4 or 5, even maybe 6 years ago, we had a freeze that came in for a week and a half straight.
Okay, I remember that one.
Yeah. They were on vacation at the time. And before he left for vacation, he turns his heat down to 50.
Never do that.
Yep. He turns his heat down to 50. A pipe freezes, and then the house starts getting cold, and the boiler kicks on and punches a hole into the break and melts the ice. And for the next 3 weeks while he's gone, is pumping boiling water from his hot water boiler into his living room from the break in the first floor. The entire house, all the sheetrock was melting off the walls because it was all steam. The entire house was in one giant steam room. Every single inch of this house was completely destroyed. Everything, all the way down to the basement.
Cool.
I mean, it was pretty good. I have old videos of that still, but that was one of the worst cleanup jobs. And then 2 years later, it happened to him again because he didn't listen. He didn't. He won't. He turns his heat off every time he goes away.
what does he know? He's just a plumber.
Every time, even when like with the freeze that we just had, like in December,
Yeah.
always raise the heat.
Yeah.
Never drop it.
Yeah. Just, I mean, you spend a couple extra bucks on gas while you're gone. Like, just, you don't, trust me, the alternative is worse.
Oh yeah.
You
Oh,
know?
we dealt with it.
Yeah.
We dealt with it.
That was one of the worst jobs, and it was sad because I mean, you talk about someone being in the house for 45 years. That's their home.
And everything got destroyed.
Everything.
It was good work.
Everything. The
Like
sheetrock
outside.
behind the tile in the bathroom was melting off the wall, and it was literally drooping.
Mm-hmm.
Wallpaper, everything was destroyed. And it was 180-degree water that was pumping in there, and
For 3 weeks.
yeah, and it was like -2, so the steam is freezing on the windows out. It was awful. It was absolutely terrible, but that was brutal.
Okay.
What was this is kind of an oxymoron, but what was, I don't even know what I was going to say. Well, what was like the best job, but I can't even answer that.
Best
What I-
job?
In my industry, the best job, I don't think there is a best job.
Yeah, ours
Because
too.
we're always getting called in when something really bad has happened.
Yeah. Bearer of bad news is what you are.
And you know, you're walking in, either somebody's house is getting, there's a fire, somebody's house is flooding,
Yeah.
you know, they have 5 feet of water in their basement.
Yeah.
You said the last job you just talked about, you said you had 6-7 guys with you on that job, right?
Which one? The hoarder job?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you had 6-7 guys with you. That was back in 2012, you said, right?
No, that was 2021. It was 2020, right before COVID, a week before we got shut down.
And how many guys do you have with you now?
So as a company, we've grown. As a small business, I'm constantly reinvesting into my company, constantly.
Of course.
So right now, I can say that I have a crew of 9, and I can take over a country with these guys.
That's good.
I'll go to war at any time.
That is hard to find in this day and age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I take care of them.
You have to.
Right. I take care of them. And
You got job openings?
Go ahead.
I can't.
Be my guest.
You're going to be the crawl space guy.
Yeah.
Bye, Felicia. Yeah, you're going to be the crawl space guy anywhere you go, Mr. 5'5".
So if you don't take care of your people will not take care of you.
100%. And this is what customers don't understand.
So I'll pay. So the job that we did over the weekend, the warehouse,
Yeah.
they worked on a Saturday and they worked on a Sunday. If you don't take care of these people
Right.
on a Sunday,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
and they came out, they did their thing, we were all having fun, the customer was ecstatic, which that's the bottom line. Well, that's
Of course.
that's who has to be happy. And then we all went out to dinner.
Wow.
We all went out to dinner. I said, "Thank you very much."
It's like Chick-fil-A. All the workers over there are super happy.
And now tomorrow I'm getting every single one of them a bottle of good bourbon, and just to say thank you.
And you know what? If you want people, quality guys, quality workers in your home as a customer, the company has to pay for that. And you have to pay the company for the company to be able to pay their guys to be good guys, good quality guys. It's going to go down the line.
You cannot expect Dom Perignon service with a lemonade budget.
Right.
You can't. It doesn't happen.
Yeah. I mean, and a customer can go to the cheapest guy, but he's going to get the cheap. Like when
You
we
get
say
what you pay for.
But here's the thing. That's absolutely true statement, but people don't realize the depth of that because I pay for this, I get cheap work. You're getting cheap work, you're getting cheap workers, you're getting cheap material, you're getting cheap scheduling. You're going to get thrown on the schedule whenever because you're not taking priority for these guys because they're running around like mad
chickens
hatters.
without heads.
Yeah. So if you want to get in there, and I hear horror stories about these people going in there, and I'm sure the customers they're pissed that nothing's working out right. It's like, well, you didn't pay for anything to work out right. You know what I mean? You went for the cheapest people. Companies who are coming in there presenting you with a good price, they know what their numbers are. They know what it's going to cost for us to get good guys in there and give you good work.
So it's the numbers part. Up until 2 months ago, I think I knew what my numbers were.
Yeah.
They're not the same. They changed because a roll of tape that we were buying at $15 a roll is now $28.
Oh yeah. Since COVID,
Yeah.
forget about it.
So we constantly buy, we're constantly buying consumables. Our numbers change dramatically, drastically, weekly. It's like the stock market.
Yeah, 100%.
So if you could hire a company that's, cheap, they show up in a minivan and not in a truck.
Yeah.
They're wearing dirty, ripped clothes.
Mm-hmm.
Their demeanor, they're carrying their tools in Home Depot buckets. I don't want somebody like that working in my house.
No.
They have a bad attitude because they're not getting paid right.
Correct. They're constantly complaining.
Yeah. They don't care about the customer. They're not going to clean up right.
We were talking about this the other day. The vans that you'll see on the road, you can tell the bad workers.
Yeah.
You can tell the bad companies. I don't want to say bad companies, but you can tell the companies that are on the lower end of the spectrum versus, better companies just by their vans.
Yep.
And I'm not talking about like just beat up vans. I'm talking about like one of those magnets, a white van with just a magnet plastered to the side of the van that you can take off and put on your car the next day or whatever.
I'm okay with magnets because I have magnets on my trucks.
Uh-oh.
No, I totally agree.
Oh, cut his mic. Cut his mic.
I totally agree, but there's situations that I have to have magnets. I don't like it, but I have to have magnets.
Yeah.
So people make fun of me, or I'll pull up to a house and we have Sprinter vans. Everybody thinks because it's a Mercedes, it's expensive. It's it's similarly priced with a Ford.
Yeah.
But you pull up in a Sprinter and they're like, "Oh, you're more expensive than anyone else." How am I supposed to have an emergency vehicle that has to run 24/7 in any type of circumstance? If Rolls-Royce made a truck and it was better than every single one, that's what I would have on the road.
Well, here's the beauty about these businesses. With us and with you, you don't have to explain yourself to the customer. You don't have to explain your prices. You're
Yes,
not
I do.
supposed to.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to explain the prices because that's what it costs. That's what it is. I'm going to be here for you. I'm going to give you good service.
Well, even we have to sometimes explain.
But you're not. The point is, you're not supposed to. You can go with me. You can not go with me, and you have enough work where you can you turn people down.
Now.
Okay, yeah, maybe it didn't start like that, but now you have enough work that you can turn people away, because you feel like they might not be the most cooperative customer.
The best customer that I've ever had is the customer that I never did a job for.
What do you mean?
The best customer.
The best friend I've ever had was someone I haven't met yet.
We still don't talk.
No, the best. I blocked them. So imagine your most horror story of a customer.
Okay, I have 3.
Okay. Any which one of them, wouldn't you have been better off if you would have said no?
Yeah.
There you go.
3 of them. 100%.
That's your best.
I see. I get it now.
It's the best customer.
That's you're right. 100%. That's a good way of looking at it.
Okay.
Yeah.
If they're going to start, well, I can, and the starting phrases that I will not engage with the customer are 3. The one you remember the one a couple of weeks ago in River Edge with the sump pump?
Yeah.
All right. I'm an engineer. Okay, I'm done.
Right.
Or I'm a doctor. I'm a lawyer.
Yeah.
Or I'm a general contractor.
Yeah.
Or I've been.
Yeah.
I have my boyfriend, girlfriend is in the trades.
It's like, why don't you lawyer this water out of your basement then?
I walk away.
Yeah.
I have a brother-in-law that can do this, so get that one to do it.
Which I don't understand. We get that sometimes too. It's like, then do it. What are you calling me?
Why are you calling me for?
Yeah.
Give me your best price.
Yeah. My best
price?
Give me your best price.
There is no best price. It's going to cost. This is what it's going to cost.
This is what it's going to cost.
And then, I don't know if you guys get it, but we get it all the time. But you're only here for 2 hours.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but I have 30 years of experience
Yep.
doing
Yeah.
this.
100%.
I have sweat, tears. I have cut fingers.
Yeah.
I have sprained backs,
I
ankles.
can't get out of bed in the morning for you.
Yeah,
You're welcome, by the way.
Yeah. So if you think I'm expensive, it's okay.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Right.
I want to be them. I don't want to be the cheapest, and I don't want to be the most expensive.
100%.
I'm right in the middle.
Yeah.
But if you're right in the middle, you're paying for a service. You're paying for an experience.
Yeah.
It sounds stupid, but you're paying for an experience. You walk into a house, we put drop cloths down.
Mm-hmm.
We cover everything that we're walking
Yeah,
into.
you guys are extremely clean. That's what I'll give to you.
We'll put
All
up,
your guys.
We'll put up containment. We'll put up plastic. We have air scrubbers running so that we can contain
It gets
dust.
annoying sometimes when I come into a job after you're there and it's very clean, and I'm like, everything is
Now I
zippered
gotta be
up.
clean.
Everything, I have to be clean now, and everything is zippered up and vacuum sealed, and I'm like,
I have to leave. We have to leave the property better than what we found it.
yep.
My uncle. That was his whole thing.
So if I'm walking into a property, I have to make it better.
Yeah.
And then how am I supposed to do that? So all our trucks are equipped with, I think we now have like 2 different types of vacuums on our trucks. We have brooms, we have mops, we have anything that needs to be cleaned.
Yeah.
Everything's in our truck.
You've showed me your setup. Your setup is very
Yeah.
nice.
Oh,
We've done
your garage is beautiful.
Yeah, your garage is real nice. We've done some work in it, and it's just
What do you think of my garage?
Oh, it's gorgeous.
yeah.
I mean,
He walks in, he goes before he sits down. He goes, "What's that on the floor?" Don't worry, just sit down. It's okay.
don't
Everything
worry.
will be
It's
fine.
epoxy from a project we were trying to do.
So when you're out and you're socializing,
I don't do that often, but okay.
when you do,
I used to.
and you get asked, what do you do? How do you explain your profession?
Oh, I tell people I protect the health of this nation.
Okay.
I tell people I save more lives than doctors.
People don't like to hear that. I told you I tried to say that to my friends the other night. They were like, "Get over yourself."
Yeah.
So so that's what you say. How can I introduce myself when they ask me?
The same way.
I save more lives than doctors?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That's a good one. I'll use it.
Yeah. I save more lives than doctors. What of it?
People take it for granted. Granted,
100%.
it's preventative maintenance.
Yep.
The reason why you get clean water is from plumbers.
So the
Clean
way
water,
The
sewer.
reason why you get clean air in your building after a disaster is because of you.
And
You explained
mold.
to me one of those machines. First of all, I want you to explain how you clean mold. And 2, the other machine that you told me, because I didn't know that you have to clean the air after a fire in a building.
Yeah.
But you told me that you filter the air after a
So,
fire.
two separate. That's
Yeah,
same sentence, 2 separate questions.
yeah.
How do you clean mold? Never use bleach.
Really?
Never. So if you take bleach right now off the shelf,
Uh-huh.
okay, and you pour it on your pants, what's going to happen?
You get that sweet 80s stonewash that stonewash aesthetic.
That people used to pay
Okay.
$100.
It bleaches it whitens it takes color out.
Okay,
Uh-huh.
awesome. Take the same bleach, put it in a spray bottle, and spray it on mold that's black. And by the way, just because the mold is black doesn't mean it's the dangerous mold.
Okay.
Okay, and spray it on the mold. What happens?
Which just changes color.
It disappears.
Okay.
It just bleached the color.
That's it.
Oh.
That's all it does.
Okay.
Doesn't kill it.
Oh.
So
Bleach
if-
doesn't kill that?
No, it does not. Bleach is a corrosive. So you walk into those 1950s, 1960s bathrooms with
Yeah.
the 4x4 tile.
Right.
How many of those tiles have you seen now that they have lost their luster?
All of them. Yeah.
It's because of the bleach.
Oh, okay. Well, let me ask you this: when we go into, like, we just did that house up in Rivervale that we just did, they do have that white mold growing up in the ceiling. How dangerous? Let's say we're and what we like to do is we would like to be honest with the customer, because people hear mold, they think it's the plague. How dangerous and at what point does it get where a customer should really be concerned? Because I've heard you say that everyone does have a little bit of mold around their house. There's mold.
No, not a little. if we take on a perfect day,
Yeah.
on the perfect day, if we take an air sample outside, we're going to find mold.
Right.
Mold is something that's existent. We'll never get rid of it. So when we're taking exterior air samples of when we're doing a pre-testing
Yeah.
and then a post-testing, what we're doing is we're taking an exterior sample and we're taking it as a control. And then we take an interior sample of air. So we're comparing the molds.
Okay.
So any mold that's outside, you're going to find inside.
Yeah. Okay.
So if the mold on the outside is higher than the mold inside, you don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
Oh.
Is that good mold? The mold on the outside?
All mold is mold. So it's like saying I'm allergic to lactic acid, lactose, and you're not. So if you're allergic to mold, you'll be more prone to have.
If you have respiratory issues,
correct.
mold is going to affect you more.
Gotcha. Okay.
And there's 130,000 different species of mold, and they're all the color, the
So
spectrum
it's all
of the rainbow.
it's a
Blue
whole
cheese.
bunch of different
Right.
variables.
Correct.
Mold.
Penicillin. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the good mold. It's the good fats.
So the mold that's the most dangerous that everybody says that it's black mold. It's in the industry is we call it's the scientific name is Stachybotrys. Or
Is that a Greek word?
no.
No?
No.
Does that come from Greek origin?
Hold on, let me pull up my song. Wait, tell this story again. Go.
Stachybotrys.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
That mold is the most dangerous mold. But that mold to grow, it has to be constantly moist and constantly wet for a very, very, very long time.
So people who are ignoring their
Correct.
water issues.
So that mold, when you touch it, is almost like a slime.
Slimy.
That is the dangerous stuff.
Gotcha.
I had a friend, I think I told you I did a job for my friend in my friend's house. He had a leak. I think I called you after it too. He had a leak in his kitchen sink, and I replaced the water lines, I replaced the P-trap, I replaced the lines behind the wall, and I went on the outside of the house so I didn't rip up his cabinets. I just ripped up the siding, cut up the siding, and we found out that this leak was happening for such a long time. He was getting that slimy black mold.
That's the worst.
And I told him, I was like, this has been happening for a long time. He goes, yeah, I kind of ignored it. I knew it was happening. And I was like, you can't ignore it. And I showed him it was black, slimy black mold. And I was like, this is bad. You should get somebody to come here and remediate this.
It was like
And
venom.
he goes, don't worry, it'll air out. I'm like, are you out of your mind?
What do you know? You're just, you're
No.
just a plumber.
Yeah.
You're just a plumber.
Listen, let's do this. Let's take a quick break. All right, we'll give the audience a chance to Google what slime mold looks like, and then come back. I'll discuss it. But we'll take a quick break, and we'll be back in a few minutes. You ready?
I'm ready.
Are you ready to come back from the break?
Ready to come back from the dead.
Would you like some more?
I already
magic.
took. I took some more. I snuck it.
Okay.
Did you?
I snuck it. Yeah, I put it in my coffee.
You're a closeted tequila fan.
No, I'm a closeted alcoholic.
Well, we're back again.
Oh, we're live. This is what it is.
Oh, we're recording. Yeah,
All right. I'm not an alcoholic. It's not a problem.
we're back again with.
Hi, my name is Max.
I don't have a problem. My mother genuinely thinks I do. I'm like, I don't.
She thinks you have a lot of problems,
Yeah, I do.
and she's right on the money. So we're back here with Otto from Jigsaw PMR, property maintenance restoration in Oradell, New Jersey. Residential, commercial, and industry cleanup guy. Junk removal, fire cleanup. Do you do junk removal?
Not as
It's on the DL.
no. We only remove junk that is affected by stuff.
Okay, but you
Well-
can't, like a hoarder can't hire you to clean
Well,
out
that's
their house.
effective.
We can.
Okay,
We'll do that, but a lot of people won't hire us because numbers.
it's expensive.
Well, if you want the right people to do it,
You're more expensive than somebody else that specializes in that, right?
right? So if you're getting called into a hoarder situation, there's a lot of things going on. There could be a town could be involved. The
Right.
health department of a town could be involved. The fire department can be
Yeah.
involved because they're shutting off the utilities. I'm certified. I have a biohazard certification.
Yep.
So that means that we can work with we can do crime scene cleanup. We can do unattended deaths. And
Oh, wow.
things I've never done one.
No?
I don't think I have the stomach for. So when we did the training, the people that trained us they're actually out of Jersey. They're in Rahway. In 2012 with Sandy, they were telling us that they were called into the morgue of New York City, and all the bodies were floating.
Oh no.
Jeez.
So they brought them in, and they said, "Well, don't go in there because
that is morbid.
we have floaters."
Oh my god.
That is morbid right there.
Yeah.
That's, my grandfather used to do that. Well, something in that field. He used to dress the bodies. He used to live up top a morgue, above a morgue.
Oh, don't get me started on that.
And
Don't get me started on that kind of
He
stuff.
used to dress the bodies. What do they call those? Mortician?
Yeah,
Yeah.
mortician.
It's a mortician, yeah. Used to dress the bodies up, and my grandmother used to live there, and she's just very proper, trim lady.
Mm-hmm.
And one time she walked in on him dressing up one of the dead bodies, and she goes, "Nope, we're out of here." And that's why he quit that. He left that job and he moved out to Long Island.
So
She couldn't do it.
I'm from an island in Greece called Corfu, very small island, about 130,000 people. So it's small.
It's probably
So-
beautiful.
It is. So one of the morticians there was a friend. Guy died now. He was older. So in the late 90s, there were a lot of heat waves that were hitting in Europe. Now in Europe in the 90s, a lot of people didn't have air conditioning.
They don't use air conditioning now,
Right.
too. That's a thing.
They don't believe in it.
Yeah.
So a lot of people were just dropping dead because of the heat. And it was the older people that were dying. So a friend went into this guy's shop in town, and he knew him, and he's like, he needed to use the restroom. Now, this guy was so busy that he had a...
Oh, no. I don't even want to know where this is. This is appropriate.
he had a dead body standing up, leaning against the bathroom.
Unbelievable. Just as a ball-busting prank.
So my friend needed to use the bathroom, and this guy wasn't moving.
Oh, my God.
So the guy goes, taps him on the shoulder, says, "Hey, buddy, you done?"
He tips over.
The body comes.
Oh, my gosh, dude. That is insane. See, people down in that area of the world, we look at death and we're very, especially in this country, we're like, there's death,
It is a daily thing.
yeah. Jeez, that is ridiculous.
I still think of that story, and I still start.
I almost got a job like that back, and I was working at a bank, and we had a customer who used to come in all the time. He owned a funeral home, and they were hiring, and they were looking for guys to go out and get dead bodies. And I was I actually tossed around the ideas. Could I do that? Could I go to someone's house and take the body out? And then he said sometimes they get stiff. You got to push them down to get on the table. I'm like,
What?
I'll stick with the bank.
What do you mean they get stiff?
If the rigor mortis hits.
Yeah.
If a what?
If
rigor
they die in
mortis.
their chair,
Right.
let's say someone dies in, let's say your great grandfather sat every day, watched TV, the same chair, he died in his chair. Rigor mortis will set in him in that position, and you have to get him
Straight.
You got to get him straight.
No,
Because
we're burning the house down.
So my cousin,
And then we're calling Otto afterwards.
my fir-
Remediation.
my first cousin, had a friend of his that his parents, his family owned a funeral home. So one night my cousin was coming home and he had to borrow one of their cars to get home. Now his friend was a baseball player. So, but this car was used to haul dead bodies back and forth. So my cousin was driving. So my cousin is very afraid. So he's driving down a street, and every 3 seconds he's looking behind him, constantly thinking that somebody's there. So all of a sudden he's trying to come home, and then he sees a stop sign, and he slams on the brakes. All right.
Don't tell me a body flies forward.
No, but the story was, I told you, the kid played baseball. There was a baseball in the car. So the baseball came rolling, and it hits the floor. My cousin walked home.
Oh, he got so freaked out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's some morbid stuff that not everyone can deal with.
Yeah.
But you know what? Every funeral director that I've ever met, they're like the happiest people. The
You have to be.
nicest guys.
Let me just tell you, you have to be.
Yeah.
Because you're dealing with
trauma and loss.
constantly.
And,
You're dealing with, when we were doing our trainings, I mean, we're nothing like funeral directors, right?
Right.
We're not.
Of course.
But we're constantly dealing with disaster.
yeah.
There's only so much that you can absorb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's only so much. So you really have to be. You
have to
really
have-
have to laugh.
You have to have a certain
Right.
sense of humor.
Yeah.
A certain. We were talking. I remember that time in the truck. Me and you were in the truck. We just came off of a miserable, awful job, and we didn't talk. We didn't talk to each other
The whole job.
the whole job because it was just
Angry.
anger
when
and
we did-
frustration.
when we did, we were insulting each other and
Yeah, it was.
That was a good job.
It was no good. It was no good. And then we got into the truck. We both got into the truck, and we were silent. And we put on the radio, and some song came
Katy
on the
Perry.
radio,
It was a Katy Perry song.
and we both started singing the song.
Laughing.
Started singing the song, and afterwards we looked at each other and started laughing. We're like, "How did we go from the most miserable people on this earth, the most unpleasant people to deal with, to the
And then
happiest people
we're
just
driving
from
home
a
the
song?"
last job in the day, literally singing Firework by Katy Perry together with the two dogs in the between us. Like the lamest,
You have to
gayest
have-
thing you've ever
yeah.
seen.
You have to have a weird sense of humor if you're in a job that's frustrating. But every job has its own frustrations, I guess. You know.
Yeah.
This industry is not easy whatsoever. And we go okay,
work
so
very
let me give
hard.
you this example. We're working in a mall. I'm not going to tell you which one.
I don't want to know.
But we just started working in a mall. They're doing a new restaurant. And we have to, every day, we have to sign in to the security office, the management office. And the woman we have to deal with, she just, like, visually, you can tell
She's miserable.
that there's a stick 3/4 of the way up her behind all the time. She lives her life in hatred toward people, but she works in a beautiful office that's climate controlled. Now we show up at 3:00. We couldn't get there any earlier to start the job. We're filthy. We're sweaty. We've been working outside all day in the heat, busting our bodies.
You like the heat, don't you?
Do I look like I like the heat?
You like the heat, don't you?
I don't like anything, heat included. But this woman who has this little bit of authority, because she's the secretary in the management office, so she has a little bit of authority.
She has a power trip.
Just a power trip, and like you just have this attitude about you. Like every time I asked her a question, she would like sneer her lip. It's like, listen, I don't know what happened to you in your past life, but how come we come in here and we're nice to you and you return it with attitude? Like, just stop it.
I'll tell you how to. I used this once, and it worked. I'll tell you. So if you have somebody that's treating you this way, you just turn around and apologize to them. Tell them, I'm sorry that you're having a miserable day, and if you need to take it out on me, go right ahead.
I'll be your punching bag.
And then you film it. And then you film the reaction.
and then it's like, the reaction is like,
that it's stuff like that bothers me, because I look at guys who are in our industry. I mean, I'm not trying to be dramatic, okay? But
are you sure?
no, I'm really not trying to.
Why don't you play some background music?
You would know if
dramatic
he's trying to be
music.
dramatic. You'll know if he's
Let
trying
me
to
pull
be
up
dramatic.
sad violin music. But no, and it's not that we sit here and complain about it all the time, but we're abusing our bodies to do what we do.
Yes.
For you.
Yes.
Okay. Now, I'm not going to denigrate or say we do what we do is worse off, but at least a lot of people that we deal with that have the worst attitudes and just treat us like garbage are the ones that have it so good. Where, like I'm saying with this commercial office, like this woman is in a climate-controlled, comfortable office and just filled with hate.
He doesn't like that she has working air conditioning.
But us and other companies like us, we're always nice. We have a
Anyone
nice
in the
customer
trades.
attitude. Yeah.
Anyone in the trades. You know who I feel for? Like,
Well,
right
not
now?
anyone. There has been there are jerks in the trades, but generally,
Right.
Yeah.
You know who I feel for right now?
Who's that?
The HVAC guys.
Oh,
That
Yeah.
my AC is not working, and I have to go into an attic that's 130 degrees, and the person downstairs like, well, it's hot in here.
Yeah. Yeah. I was in an attic the other day.
Are you
and
almost done?
Yeah. I was in an attic the other day, and I said to myself, I don't know how HVAC guys do. I couldn't do this all summer.
well, you know what I read recently is if 4 times a week, if you spend 20 minutes in a sauna, you lower your risk of heart attack by 51%, risk of stroke by 62%.
So what are you telling me? Sit in my
We
sit
should
in
all
my
get into
attic?
HVAC. We should all get into. We'll live longer.
So the worst, besides being an HVAC
Or
guy,
die quicker.
is being a mold remediation guy that has to treat mold, that has to wear a waterproof Tyvek suit
Yeah.
that is just like wearing a garbage bag on you.
Yeah.
And you have a respirator, and then you go into the attic, and as long as you're up there, you walk out and you take off your suit, and there's a puddle of water.
Ugh.
Yeah, you have to be in communication with that guy, don't you, or something?
Constantly.
With a walkie-talkie,
Constantly.
be like,
No,
are you still alive?
So
It's like
on-
the NASA space missions.
on jobs like that,
That's nasty.
you always, my biggest fear in jobs like that is what happens if somebody passes out.
Right.
What do you do in the instance of somebody fainting?
Yep.
You have to be certified for certain things in your field or no?
So in the state of New Jersey, the only thing I need as a company is insurance and a HIC license.
Okay.
That's the only thing that I need. I'm certified though. I have all the certifications that I need to have to do my job. I would like to see the state of New Jersey making mold remediation to have a license.
Yeah.
I would love to see that. So I'm licensed in New
wow,
York for
you
mold.
don't have to be licensed to remove
No.
mold.
Not in New Jersey.
So some schmuck can come in
Yes.
and just spray bleach all
Correct.
over the place. And
So that's why. So in a lot of instances, we're not doing. I don't do mold anymore because it's just a constant competition on who's the cheapest.
Gotcha.
So we try to avoid doing mold
Okay.
because of that. People think that, oh, you're making a lot of money. We avoid doing it. If I don't have to do it, if I don't have to give an estimate for mold, I won't even go.
Because is it just a waste of time to even
most
just
of the
give
time.
the estimate?
No, it works out sometimes, but most of the time, it's who's the cheapest.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we have to deal with that too. We get competitive people shopping all the time, which is fine. They're going to do that.
Competitive DIYers.
Well, yeah. Well, listen, here's the thing about all these YouTube channels teaching homeowners how to do their own work is they never do it right, and we get called in and we have to charge them to rip out what they put in and then put it back correctly. And they're like, whoa, I mean, you're gonna gouge me on this? Like I already suffered because I had to. It's
I
like,
could have
listen,
shark bited that. That's what I've
That's a you problem.
Yeah,
You
I know.
should have hired a
So
professional.
this is not my house. It's your house.
So my reaction to that is, well, sucks for you.
yeah.
You know, it's like, what do you
But
want
in
me
a
to
nice
do?
way.
You can, no, you
Yeah.
can, you
What
can
do you
do
what
whatever you
what
want.
would you like me to do?
Yeah.
No, you can do whatever you want. It's your house. You can do whatever you want. But this is what I do.
So the biggest thing that I have with a lot of customers is like, well, what if you only do this?
Oh yeah.
It's like,
Yep. We get that
I
too.
can't just do this. It's like, why?
No, it doesn't work
Because
like that.
I can't sign off on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I can't sign off on this being done right. Well, and then, you know, when they change their story? So we have waivers that we have customers sign. So Miss Johnson, Mr. Smith, whatever you want to say, you need to remove this carpet because it's full of sewer water. No. We can clean it. Okay. Sign this. What's this? Well, it's saying that you don't want me to remove that, and if you get sick, you can't sue me because I told you that you need to remove it. Oh, okay.
That's when they change
Take
their
it out.
tune.
Xeno.
Maybe we should.
Yeah.
Xeno with a toast family.
Xeno on them.
Xeno with a toast.
What does that even mean?
Xeno
Foreigner.
means foreigner.
Ah,
Yeah.
so what's domestic?
Look,
If there's foreign and domestic.
We were watching clips of that movie today. You know what's so funny? Neither parents have a foreign accent whatsoever in that movie. Big
Yeah.
Fat Greek Wedding. The father is so funny.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the second one, and I'm not going to.
That was my uncle.
Yeah.
That was exactly my uncle. He had a story for everything. God rest his soul.
I haven't seen my Big Fat Greek Wedding 2 because the first one is the perfect romantic
Yeah.
comedy.
The
And I don't
second
wanna
one
ruin
was
it by
okay.
this. Yeah.
It was still funny, but
Yeah. No, what you were saying before about can you only do this? Can we stop here, try to save money? It's like you can now in 3 months when the pipe that you didn't want me to touch that is already spouting a crack breaks and we have to reopen the ceiling. Like it's just like I can't have my contractor come in here and close up this wall with confidence. I can't. Because when the pipe breaks down the line, you're going to blame me for it anyway, even though you wanted to opt out now. And then you're going to blast me on Google reviews and say I'm a horrible plumber. Like, no, we're coming in here. Listen, here's your problem. This is what we need to remove and replace to fix this problem. And if you don't want to do that, there's plenty of people that'll come in here and fly by night your job in a heartbeat for half my cost. What do you want to do?
yeah.
And if they don't want to do it, that's it.
So we have people that say, "Well, what if I go and what if I
Do
start
it.
doing this?"
Do it.
I'm like, "Yeah, go right ahead," but I'm not going to follow right behind you.
Do it. Here's my card, and I'll be waiting
Yeah.
for your call.
I just walk away.
We
I
get the
I
same thing.
Just walk away.
We're both an emergency-based industry.
Yeah, we are.
Where both of our companies are emergency-based, which also the problem we run into is, I scheduled this and you guys were supposed to be here 3 hours ago. It's like, listen, you have 9 toilets and one of them is not flushing. You're going to have to wait. This other lady has no hot water.
And you should have told your son to go to trade school. All right.
Oh, don't get me
There
started.
might be more
Don't-
plumbers
don't,
out
Don't
there.
get me started on
Yeah.
that. Do you?
Well, your son, does your son work with you now?
He works with me now.
100%?
He's still in school.
Okay.
He's still in college. He has another year left,
Let me ask you something. Oh, go finish. What were you saying?
and he wants to. He is going to start working with me full time.
So
why is
why
he
do you-
even
why do you
why
go
is
to
he even
university?
finishing college?
So
Who's paying for it?
I am. So
Xeno.
Get him on the phone.
no. So
Get him on the phone right now.
No, growing up, I grew up in a Greek household that everything was, we could do it ourselves. We can save money doing this, save money doing that.
Don't have to go to the hospital. Just spray Windex
I
on
can
it.
build
my
that.
my
I
fa-
can
my
make
my,
that.
my father was he came in 1955 to the States. Not speaking a word of English, he put himself through college. He became an electrical engineer.
Wow.
All right. I started working in the restaurants. My parents owned the diner. Typical Greek. Okay, so in the early 90s, I went to. I have an associate's degree from Bergen. Then I went to work in the restaurants, and then in 1992 I graduated culinary school.
What?
Really? Wow.
I didn't know that about you.
Yeah.
You never invite us over to your house for dinner.
I don't cook. My wife does. I'm not allowed. I'm not allowed. I can only barbecue because it's outside.
Still.
Okay. Oh, so you went to culinary school. You didn't graduate from culinary
No, I finished.
You graduated.
I actually worked in Europe.
You gotta make some baklava and bring it
And
over,
he's
man.
not allowed to cook in his house?
No, because I need 10 people to clean after.
All right, that's fair.
I'm the
Yeah.
same way.
Yeah.
It's
So-
a nightmare.
Right. So I noticed because all these industries are all very hard industries. They're very difficult industries.
Right.
So at some point you want to change your lifestyle. I mean, when my daughter was born, the first time that I actually went to the beach with her, it was like 4 years later.
Yeah.
She was like 4 years old. So I thought that if I would have had a degree, it would have helped me
Make it
doing
easier
something.
for
Make
you.
it easier. So
Yeah.
both of my kids, it was very simple. You need a 4-year college degree. I don't care if you don't use it when you graduate, but you need a 4-year
You just
degree.
gotta get it.
Do you still think the same way?
No.
Or you no.
So both of my kids went to Riverdale High School in Oradell.
Right.
Great school. Okay. All these schools are just pushing high-end colleges.
Yeah.
They're brainwashing kids.
Right.
So when my son was a junior and we were having a conversation with the guidance counselor, I got into a fight with her. And I asked her, why are you pushing colleges for liberal arts? And I don't hear any one of you saying, why don't you become an electrician? Why don't you become a plumber?
Right.
Yeah.
In the next 10 years, okay, maybe sooner, plumbers and electricians will be the new millionaires.
I hope so.
And the reason being is nobody
Nobody's-
wants to
yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
Right now, I mean, I had attended Kukin Brothers had a thing a couple of years ago up
Right.
in Mawa. They were showing their new products and things like that. They had like an expo, and there was a few guys talking, and they were saying 4 years ago, that there's 4.5 million positions in the United States right now. Well, 4 years ago that cannot be filled because people are not there. HVAC,
There's just no one to
Oh,
do
right?
yeah.
HVAC,
It's way
plumbers,
more than that now.
right? HVAC, plumbers, electricians, carpenters.
Yeah.
These are professions that, I mean, everybody wants an electric car. How are you going to charge this thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's
I mean, don't even get me started. As far as college goes, listen, at this point, and this isn't even a political view or whatever, these kids are coming out of colleges brainwashed into social justice activism, and they're not even getting real educations anymore.
No, they're not.
So, and I look at you, and you made the point that no one's coming up into the trades, and these kids are tens of thousands of hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt at some point with a useless piece of paper that's gonna give them nothing. But it's like they're manipulated and brainwashed into go to college,
Correct.
and I honestly believe that they're being brainwashed into doing that because the education system knows that they'll be brainwashed into social justice activism in the long run anyway.
So what I see in this country right now, I mean, I don't want to take it into a political.
No, I don't. Yeah,
But everybody
Do it.
thinks that socialism is great till you live in a socialist country.
right.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
Everybody.
Greece fell apart. How many
And
years ago?
they're still socialist, and it's still going to fall apart. I mean, if you talk about socialist countries, the tax rate's like 52%.
right. And what happens when the tax rate is 50 or 51%, you no longer own
Nothing.
yourself.
No.
You now, when you're paying out more than half of what you're making and what you're worth,
Correct.
the government owns you.
Correct.
That's why you go to those countries. I went to Europe, but you go to those countries and they don't make anything. You just sit down at cafes on beautiful beaches all day
Yeah.
long. They don't. There's no. They're not producing anything anymore.
Nope.
You know, that's the.
And people think that that's the way of doing it.
Oh, they live such a nice life. Yeah, you live a life where you own nothing, so you just have to compensate for having a nice beach and having nice old architecture. And listen, I'm not going to say that those countries aren't gorgeous. They are.
Yeah.
They're beautiful, and it's nice to go to vacation. But as a country itself, there's no substance anymore. Because if you don't make things, if you don't create, you don't have anything.
Right.
True.
Right.
You know?
So going back to the worst customer.
Yeah.
You remember the rainstorm that we had in May? April it was like May 1st. It started the last day of April and everything in the area got flooded.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
We get called into a customer at 11:30 at night in Alpine.
Okay.
So it was a call that came in from one of the lead services. Pick up the phone. Please come. Our house is flooding. So my first question is, do you have a sump pump? And the response was, no, we don't. I said, you're not covered by insurance.
Oof.
Please come anyway. I get there. After this customer, I changed my demeanor on the way I walk into customers' homes now. We walk inside. My first gut reaction is, okay, let's just drop everything and let's help these people. Like get our pumps, get everything to start getting them out. Well, I didn't get a work authorization signed. 2 days later, they called their builder. They threw me off the job. They did not want to pay me for the 12 o'clock in the morning call that I went to their house. And I literally stopped the rest of the basement from flooding.
Do you have any recourse for that?
What do you mean?
Not if
Like-
they didn't sign anything.
You got no
Same thing
recourse.
with us.
Nothing. So now I won't go to a job. It was the most expensive, one of the most expensive lessons that I've learned
I've learned that lesson.
of trying to help.
You're sitting under a waterfall. Please sign this before I stop.
You
I know,
have
I'm
to
just-
do that.
I
I'm
know,
not-
just
I'm
kidding.
not
No,
gonna-
you literally have to do
I
that.
know.
I'm not going to do that. I can't do that anymore.
We
You
had
know,
this.
you're right.
We had the same thing. We bailed a beautiful house in Franklin Lakes, bailed them out. And you know what? And this is going to sound harsh, but it's our fault. It's our fault.
Yeah, it is.
You can't blame. Listen, the customer knows we have no recourse,
Right.
and the fact that we have no recourse, it's our fault that we don't cover our own ass.
That is correct.
You know what I mean?
I totally agree with you.
Yeah. So it's almost like you can't like curse the customer to hell because I went in there stupid and thinking, wow, they sound so desperate. Let's get them up and running. Let's take care of them. We'll worry about signing contracts later. Nope. People will see that and they'll hone in.
So customers like that are the customers that make us
Bitter.
not no, I don't want to say the word bitter. But right now if somebody calls me at 1:30 in the morning and I have to get there because they're flooding.
Yeah.
If I ask the questions that I need to know what is happening, if they're flooding and they don't have a pump and it's not a pipe and it's groundwater, I'm going to ask for a $2,000 deposit.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Oh,
You've honed in your questions to the point where you're like, if I'm coming out at 1 o'clock in the morning,
Absolutely.
I know that it's going to be worth it for me versus
correct.
I know
cover
that I'm
your
not.
ass.
Yeah.
Right.
I do the same thing with emergency calls. When we have emergency calls, and I didn't do this for years, but now when we have an emergency call and we have to dispatch somebody, Nancy takes $200, sometimes $250, depending where they're at, over the phone just to get a guy to knock on your front door. And all that $250 covers
Is for
is
you
a
get
technician to get there and knock on your front door.
Correct. That's what. So we're starting to take deposits like this. What? That's $2,000. I'm mobilizing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
I'm
mobilizing.
coming to your house with fans. And
I'm
all
coming
this stuff.
there with everything that I need to do to
Yeah.
get this job started.
Yep.
If you think that that's too much money, then sorry.
Yeah.
It sounds harsh that we have to do this,
It's not.
Nah.
but
In a way,
Forget
it
'em.
is. But let's look. Let's look at it this way. We know what it takes. We know what it takes to stay in business. We're not in a 501c3 charity here. This is a business. We're feeding families. We're paying employees to come in and work for us and work well for you.
The only
You know
one
what I
feeding
mean?
a family is him.
Huh?
The only one feeding a family is him. I have a
got
dog
family.
to feed, and you got Frankie, which is like feeding a
Are
family.
you
but
minimizing my family?
Frankie's like feeding a family.
But no, it really comes down to it that we should have full confidence in saying that you have to pay this deposit or I'm not coming over.
That's
It doesn't mean I'm a bad guy.
that's what I do now. And
Yeah.
then the other thing that we get a lot of is like, well, I have mold. Can I send you a few pictures and can you look at them? No. No.
Oh, I'm coming over there.
No, it's like, well, and we get it mostly from real estate transactions.
Oh yeah. I
Well,
got you on
Well,
that.
I'm buying the house and the inspector says that there's mold. Can you come and give me an estimate?
Yeah.
Sure. It's $350 for me to come and give you the estimate. And if you decide to go with me, I'll credit you
Yeah.
that amount.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. Because that costs money for you to get over there and do that
you're,
whole thing.
you're going to charge me to come and give me an estimate? Yeah, because you just need it
Yeah.
for you.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's it.
No.
Yep.
And you got to be able to see through these tricks. And people may think you're a jerk or an a-hole for doing
okay.
it. But you know what? When we get in there and take care of a customer that utilizes our services properly, we will take the best care of that person we possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
And I can say that with confidence. And we were talking about pricing too. When you go in there, and if you're middle high of the road, on the higher end of the middle road, let's say, if you sell yourself with confidence and know why you're charging what you do. Because if you believe in your ability to do the right job and charge the right amount, and you believe in the fact that you're going to be the best plumber or remediation or cleanup guy for these people, you should have plenty of confidence to sell your pricing. It should be no question. And confidence in selling yourself is probably one of the biggest convincers to a customer that you know what you're doing and you're worth bringing in.
Yeah.
And then they reward you with a good tequila,
Yeah, there you go.
But
And it all works out in the
which
end.
Otto brought for us.
so
today.
I don't know if it's happened to you. I have gotten jobs because I picked up the phone.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I hear it from Nancy all the time.
It's like, I called 5 people and
Yep.
no one's getting back to me.
Yeah.
You picked up, just come and do it. I don't care what
Yep.
it's going to be.
We get that all the time.
You sure? Yes, just come and do it.
No, we get that all the time.
Why don't people pick up the phone?
It's beyond
You know
me.
why? You know what? It's because a lot of companies, small businesses, are 1 or 2 man operations.
That's not an excuse.
But
It's not an
they
excuse.
don't have an office person.
I didn't have an office person up until 6 months ago. I picked up the phone. I pick up every single call.
Whether it's a scam
This is
call
not
from
to be
India or
offensive
not.
to you, but are you getting in there? Are you getting in the crawl spaces like your guys are?
Not anymore.
Not anymore. So when you started, you were doing
Yes.
that. Okay.
Yes.
So you were answering the phone. You were doing everything. All right.
How-
So you have
how-
a get up and go attitude, though.
How can I tell my guy how to do something if I haven't done it?
Oh, I have no problem with that. I'll send him anywhere that I would never go.
No,
and I have
no,
issue.
no, I'm not. I'm not
I'll
saying
sleep
about going
all night long.
I'm not saying going into a crawl space. I'm saying if you tell Max you need to redo this pipe and re-sweat it.
Oh.
And Max will go to you, well, how?
Oh, of course, yeah, absolutely.
If you can't show him,
right,
then he just lost.
yeah,
Right. But so
Respect.
that's why. So I have done it.
Yes, I know you've done it, but the point is what I'm trying to say is that were you the guy who's selling the jobs more
Yes.
so
Yes.
versus doing the work? Not
So
that you don't do
now,
work.
now, yes.
Okay.
Now, yes. So now, my guys, I'll go set up a job. I'll go set up the job, and then when I set up the job, my guys go to me. Okay,
Yeah,
bye bye.
self-sufficiency.
Right.
You have that.
Right,
know.
but it's taken a very long time to get people to
Right.
understand the end result.
Right. Yeah.
So we'll walk into a house, and when we're done, we mop the floors. So when you're walking in, it's spotless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's because you mop the floors on
You're not going
And
to
you
get that
showed
with the
them.
cheapest guy,
No.
with the cheapest company. You know,
Yeah.
all this stuff, it costs money, and we live in a post-COVID world right now.
Mm-hmm.
With post-COVID manufacturing and post-COVID shipping costs and post-COVID gas prices. So it is a completely whole new ball game at this point, you know?
Yeah, but you still have to do the right thing.
Of course. That's not what I'm saying.
Right.
But what you said when you checked, you used a cleaner, and pre-COVID it was whatever.
It was a tape.
A tape, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You were using that, and you weren't paying attention to the price increase, and you realized all of a sudden it's $28. Now that we live in this post-COVID world where prices get raised every 2.5 months
For a roll of tape.
yeah. But
A roll of tape.
listen, there's a lot of companies out here. There's a lot of competition. There's a lot of I's to be dotted and T's to be crossed on our end to make sure if you're trying to stay ahead of the pack, you have to put in all that extra work. You know what I mean?
So that customer that we went to yesterday, that you called me in for that
Yeah.
ceiling leak, this is what their kitchen looks like today.
Oh wow! Holy smokes! You got to send me
Let
this
me see.
picture so I can post it.
Yeah.
Look at that!
Give me-
Look how all look how the dryer lines are all. It looks like an alien pod.
Like an octopus.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So what we try to do is
Holy smoke! I mean, that's
you just don't go in and start ripping stuff apart.
right. Like,
It's like-
we did
What is
yesterday.
that? You
Right.
you punch holes and you shove tubes in there to dry out.
Correct.
Oh, so it's
Wow.
wow. So now you can patch the ceiling instead of
Ripping it out.
tearing down
Yeah,
everything.
but what if there was insulation in that ceiling?
Then it has to come out.
Then it has to come out.
Right. But the good thing is there's no insulation,
Yeah.
so you can dry it in place.
Right. I mean, we were testing. The way they were describing when they were getting water was really strange. So we were spraying the outside of the house, hitting the roof and everything, but it ended up being that one little pipe tucked in the corner. And that one little pipe with that slow drip every 14 seconds did all that damage, grew that mold, you know?
So if you notice in the picture, the camera didn't pick up yesterday. The thermal imaging camera
Uh-huh.
didn't pick up the water towards the other side.
Right.
So they got wet almost by their stove also.
Oh, wow.
So that's why we have all that tubing
Yeah.
going up there.
Well, listen, there's a reason I call you for that stuff because, like I said, you're always there. And if you can't get there, you say, I can be there in this such and such time. If they want to wait, they can wait. If not, and I just think it's funny that you just pulled up to my shop one day handing out business cards. And that's how it happened.
You said I was selling myself. To
Yeah.
you. And you know
We
sold,
get it.
I sold myself to you. And now we became friends.
That's
drinking,
it, yeah.
Drinking tequila and
Doing a podcast.
doing the podcast.
I mean, we get calls. Oh, I just saw your trucks riding around.
Mm-hmm.
On slow days, we'll just drive around and go shopping in the truck.
Yeah.
You know. But listen, I'm glad you did this. I'm glad you came on.
No,
Some
I
interesting stuff.
I really like the
Good.
I've heard all the podcasts. I
Yeah.
haven't heard the one with your uncle.
You got to listen to that one. That's a good one.
I started listening to it and I just passed out. I was beat.
He's not the most interesting person. I mean,
No,
We
I
put him
was
to
no. So Tuesday at 12:00, I get a call from one of my clients, and it's like, I don't know what you're doing, but I need you, like yesterday.
Oh.
I'm like, well, what's
2
going
o'clock
on?
in the morning or 2 o'clock?
In the afternoon.
Oh.
I'm like, what's going on? It says one of the stores that I manage, the roof drain line broke, an 8-inch drain line. The
I
video,
showed you that video. Did I
No.
show you the video?
No.
I'll show you the video.
32,000 square feet of store was flooded.
Clothing store.
Yes. The ground. Okay.
If you go to Jigsaw's Instagram, you can see all the videos from that. It's crazy. You said a 12-inch line,
8-inch.
8-inch,
It's
8-inch line.
8-inch
It's
PVC.
still massive, yeah.
32,000 square feet.
Wow.
Driving down there, the manager calls me and he says, I don't know what you're going to do. I don't know how you're going to do it, but the store has to open up tomorrow.
What? Are you serious?
Yes.
They opened up today?
This happened Tuesday. They opened up on Wednesday.
Holy
No way.
cow.
Why would I lie to you?
I mean, how do you
I
It
told you
happens-
in the beginning, I have a group of guys. There are 9 guys that we can take over a country.
I don't believe you.
We
Let's
went
go-
in
let's
there.
get- let's
We
get-
went in there. There was water everywhere. Everywhere.
Let's go take over one of those pretty Greek islands where we can just hang out and
You don't have to take over anything. You just park
just
it
walk
there.
in.
So we got in there. There's water everywhere. Everyone is panicking. Everyone is going on, and you just under situations like this. It's funny. I don't know if you have it also, but no matter how difficult the situation, it's like you calm down.
Yep.
You take a step back.
There's always a way to fix it.
Correct.
Always.
So calm down. You relax. You assess, and then you start saying, "Okay, do this, do this, do
Yeah.
this." And like I said, I have a team of guys that a lot of times,
That's good.
I was maybe useless sometimes. Now, it's like I think I extracted a little bit of water, and that was just helping in bringing in fans and dehumidifiers.
But that's where you want to be. If you get a good staff and you take care of your staff, that's where you should be because you're the brains of the operation.
no. You have some guys, man. Even though they're techs,
Well, I don't mean that in a bad way to
no,
them,
they're
but it's your company.
right.
It's your company. You're responsible. You're the so that's where you want to be.
Right.
And I think that's great to be able to have a staff like that. I mean, we're trying to build up. I would like 4 or 5 trucks eventually.
Do you really want to get that big?
I don't think that's big to me. You think 4 or 5 trucks is big?
For a plumbing outfit, yeah. I don't want to grow more than I don't want to be more than a 3-truck operation.
Well, let me do this. Since I respect you, I'll give thought to what you're saying right now. If I didn't respect you, I'd say, "Get the hell out of here."
No, but I'm serious. Just think about it.
All right.
Think about what you're going through right now with 2 people.
You're just the bigger you get, the more stress
Yeah.
Yes.
you're
Yeah.
adding. It's
Because
not less stress.
your responsibility grows tremendously.
Yeah, but you know what? How I'm different. I don't have a wife and kids.
Yeah, but the people that you're hire might.
Well, that's well, yeah, you're right.
So
He doesn't give a damn.
no,
Yeah.
so if
Not
you
a damn.
if you hire many of times, like the owner goes home without a paycheck
Oh
because
yeah,
he has to make sure everyone else is paid first.
yeah, absolutely.
But high risk, high reward.
Yeah, yeah. If you do it right.
Correct.
Listen, I want to end this right here because this has been really good. It's been really interesting. You told some stories that I did not know, which I enjoyed. But I'm glad to have you on. And again, Jigsaw PMR out of Oradell, New Jersey. Great company, great staff. You guys are awesome. You're always there. You keep your trucks clean. It was a pleasure having you on.
It was a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
You got it,
I
man.
really had a good time.
And
The
guys,
tequila was good too.
yes, the tequilas. That's good tequila. And as always, thank you for everyone who's listening. We really appreciate it, and we'll talk to you next week.